So it's relatively early in the morning here. We're just getting the car partially loaded up. Most of the work will be done at the Creation Research Centre where we're heading to in just a moment, but we're just getting all of the personal effects in before we go and get all the fossil hunting stuff. So this is the car which will be our home for the next week and a bit. So I want to try and make sure it's as set up as possible. So there we are, folks, we're on our way. If you saw the live video, you'll have known that the car didn't sound particularly healthy, and that's the first time that it sounded really quite bad like that. So I don't know whether it's just the fact that I've got all of my stuff plugged in and it's kind of charging off of the car as we go. Might be that, or alternatively it might be the fact that the battery needs changing. So I've got to decide what to do. Do I go to Halfords and get a new battery? Because when we first got this car, getting on for 5 months back, they did say that the battery may need being looked at. Now it has gone through a service since then, but the battery has not been changed. So I think that may be our first port of call. I'm also going to be calling into my brother's house because he and his wife recently did a trip around Europe with just their little van, camping in their van, a bit like what I'm doing with the car here. And so they actually have some equipment, a big canopy and a little fridge, which I'd quite like to use, so I'll be borrowing them off of them. So we're headed north at the moment. Now we're officially going north. We've just come off the roundabout out of the village, so we're officially heading north, and we're heading on the way to Wrexham. So that's my first 2 ports of call. Pick up some extra equipment for my brother, and possibly a garage stop to change the battery. So I just realised with all of the kerfuffle and trying to get sorted this morning that I haven't had any breakfast, and it's nearing lunch. So I'm a bit peckish, and it's a good idea then that last night I made a load of ginger biscuits for the journey. I like ginger biscuits because I just find that they help against any kind of, travel sickness or weariness after being in the car for a long time. I actually really enjoy driving and traveling, so this is a good helping hand, and they fill you as well. So good all round. And homemade, so even better. So we're right on the border of England and Wales, where Oswestry is, and so as we head north, we're actually ducking in and out of Wales a few times because the main route upwards does that. So we're currently heading up towards Wrexham, which is, of course, is in Wales, made very famous by its celebrity football club. But we're carrying on beyond that up to Chester, and then onwards and upwards until we get into Yorkshire. So should be quite a nice trip. It's quite a nice drive, rather. It's already pretty beautiful day, and just gorgeous scenery that you can see out in the Welsh hills outside already. I've got my travel cup of coffee that holds about 1.5 litres, so plenty for the journey. All right, well, we're just about to join the main motorway going north onto the A55, which then becomes the M53 and the M56. So just straight ahead of us is Chester. And Chester is an old Roman word, basically meaning a fort or a castle. And the Romans were certainly here at Chester as part of their defence against the Welsh and the Druids, who were, throughout history, have always been brilliant at guerrilla warfare, because you have the mountains and the hills and the places to hide, and you know how to survive. And it's amazing looking at some of the history of the border between England and Wales, because it's been so all over the place throughout the years, and battles have been fought for it, and so on and so forth. But Chester is originally Roman. Most complete walls, city walls, anywhere in the UK are at Chester. Second most complete walls are at York, which we're of course going to be driving up past a little bit later. And what's amazing is that the walls at Chester are all made out of the same rock. It's the sandstone, the middle red sandstones. And so you can be walking around Chester and you can see some of these amazing geological formations just bang in the middle of the city in the walls. And in fact, all this area around here, if you remember our live video that we did where we had a look at our geological map, this whole area sort of slightly north of where we are in Oswestry, and we'll start heading east in a little bit, but this whole sort of area around here, around Chester, is all made up of that same red sandstone. And you can actually trace the sandstone all the way from up in Scotland. You get some fabulous fossil fish out of the old red sandstone, and you can trace it all the way down to Chester, all the way down to Bristol, and all the way down to the south coast. And it's full of all of these geological sequences and patterns known as crossbedding, and it's really indicative of there being a flood environment that has formed this sandstone. So you're definitely looking at evidence of a flood, and it's certainly a flood which covers pretty much most of the UK. And it gets worse because of course the Triassic beds can actually be found all around the world. So it's much, much bigger, this flood, than just the UK. It's a worldwide flood, no surprises there. But here we are, we're just about to join the main motorway, and we are well and truly on our way. Well, it's been a glorious day so far. It's currently registering 21 degrees outside. However, that looks some pretty bad weather coming up ahead, so it's not supposed to rain, but that doesn't look convincing, so we might pass through a few showers as we go. Who knows? It's definitely got a lot darker, and it's only 1 o'clock. Well, we've been travelling for about an hour now, and the battery is still going strong. No issue with the car at all. I think it must just have been because I had everything kind of plugged in and charging off of the battery, and I'd had that running without the car running for several minutes, so I think it was perhaps just a bit run down. So we'll have to keep an eye on it there and see how we go. But anyway, we're coming out of Wales. We're beyond Wales, beyond Chester now, and we're starting to turn east, sort of heading in a northeast kind of direction, and we are heading up towards York, and it'll be fairly fast roads up to York, and then beyond that we'll be in the North York Moors as we cut up through the North York Moors in order to get up to where we are near Whitby. And in particular, we'll be stopping off as our first official stop, unless I find anything on the way, of course. Our first fossil stop will be at Robin Hood's Bay, and that'll be our first place to have a bit of a nose, a bit of a mooch, and then we need to go and obviously try and find our campsite before it gets too dark. because the nights are pulling in now. It is October now. Where is it? October the 9th, yeah. So we need to find get to the campsite and find a place to get set up properly before it gets too dark. So I'd ideally like to do that and be at the campsite at around 5ish. So we'll have a little bit of time. So we're going uphill now, and we've had a warning sign for fog that has come up all down. So we're currently heading over the Peak District, and the fog is getting a lot thicker. It's not too bad at the moment, but it's getting a lot thicker, and we're getting warning signs on the road as well. That's all exciting. It's not too bad, and we've got some good geology around here to help us as well, which obviously if the fog carries on getting thicker, then it's going to get harder and harder to see. But there is a lot of good limestone around here. So we're sort of heading towards Leeds at the moment. Well, we've got through the fog, and it's worth it because we're coming over the hill and we've got some pretty spectacular scenery going on as we're coming around over the hill at the moment. And this is just the start. We're sort of skirting around the Peak District, and we'll be properly getting into scenery once we get beyond York, because of course that's when we're at the North York Moors, and we'll be cutting right up the North York Moors in order to get up to Whitby. So a little bit of scenery for now, but more to come. And we're making pretty good time as well. We have about an hour and a half left to go, so we'll be hitting the moors soon. So we're currently skirting around York, which is over in that direction, and we're about to sort of branch off slightly, ever so slightly more to the east, which will take us up to Whitby, which is excellent. Lots and lots of old abbeys and priories around here. I've visited a lot around here, including one particular priory where we found a rather rare fungus several years back when I was quite more heavily involved in fungus identification and recording. We found an oak polypore, which we ended up being published in one of the journals on mycology, which is the study of fungus. So that was quite a fun trip to York that year. But York itself, which is just in that direction, is amazing. The history is incredible. It's unbelievable, huge amount of wealth of history and architecture in that one city. So who knows, I might try and call into there on the way back down, because it is just absolutely amazing, the kind of stuff that you can find in and around York. But who knows, we'll see. But yes, we will be branching off just slightly. We're on the A64 at the moment. We'll be branching off to the right a little bit, going east a little bit, and that'll be when we get into the North York Moors, and then it should get some good scenery. Despite the fact that it was looking like it was going to rain about an hour and a half ago, and the fact that we were going through some really heavy fog, it's pretty beautiful again now in terms of the weather, so we can be grateful for that. It's now 24 degrees outside. This is the middle of October, but there we are. Wonderful stuff, eh? So here we are officially driving up through the North York Moors. Now, what is a moor for our international viewers? Well, it's a biome which is fairly restricted to temperate grassland areas, and specifically it refers to areas of low vegetation, low growing vegetation, things like heather, grasses, bracken, stuff like that, where there are acidic soil. So it's acidic soil, low growing vegetation. And the North York Moors take up this sort of area in the northeast of Yorkshire. You have the Yorkshire Dales, which are over to the west of Yorkshire, but this area here is the North York Moors. And it takes up about just under 1,500 square kilometres. That's about 550 square miles, so it's fairly sizable in its area. Now we're just catching the bottom end of it here, right? It's fairly well cultivated, even though we are officially in the North York Moors. You can see just outside the window here we've got some farmers' fields. But once we get over this next little hill here, we'll start to really get into the moors itself, and the wildlife is amazing. It's a very unique biome. There's a huge amount of heather that grows here, which is something that is very, very beautiful at the right time of year. And so it's a really spectacular and unique place. Lots and lots of history in the North York Moors as well. You get lots of Celtic crosses, you get lots of stone markers, you get lots of the so-called prehistoric markers and standing stones and things like that as well. On the road, heading up through the moors, and this is when you realise just how wild the moors are. When you see this kind of road, we're pretty steep now going downhill, and look at that, both beautiful and a little bit scary at the same time. But you can see up there, that's where we're heading, up through the moors proper. So this has been voted the A169 one of the most beautiful roads to drive down, and you can really see why. It's just amazing scenery all around. You've got the right amount of going up and going down, so you can see what's out in front of you. Little twists and turns when you get down to the bottom. It is just beautiful. Well, we've just come over the hill, and right down in front of us now we can see Whitby, and right over in the distance, actually it's not that far in the distance, we can just about make up Whitby Abbey, which is a beautiful Gothic abbey. And so there's Whitby down there. We're actually going down to the right, a little bit further down to Robin Hood's Bay. But you know what? As we are here, I think Robin Hood's Bay would be better tomorrow, because I think we should just get down to Whitby. High tide was about an hour or two ago, and so it means that the tide is now going out, which is what you want. At Whitby, you've got quite a strong chance of being cut off, which you obviously don't want to do. It's happened once to me, don't really want it to happen again. So what you do is you always go out to fossil hunt at Whitby from high to low, and then an hour after low tide you turn around and come back. So I think we should go to Whitby, seeing as it is there. We'll also get a chance to get some food in Whitby as well, some supplies. So I think that's probably a better idea than Robin Hood's Bay. Even though our campsite is close to Robin Hood's Bay, it just makes sense to do that and go down. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're going to Whitby. Now, for our international viewers, Whitby is a rather important place in the grand scheme of things, other than it being a beautiful village, or town rather, and it's a brilliant place to go walk about and see the sights. But quite a lot of important stuff has happened at Whitby. You've got Whitby Abbey, which is one of the most brilliant Gothic abbeys and cathedrals that have been built. It's now obviously in ruins thanks to the dissolution of the monasteries by Henry VIII, but it's still a really pretty and spectacular place to go and to visit. And we'll see this because we're going to be parking in the Abbey car park to get down to the beach. Obviously the fossils are really spectacular there. It's part of that Jurassic stretch that goes down from the south coast in Dorset all the way up here. Beautiful fossils out of here, dinosaurs, plesiosaurs, great marine creatures, as well as plants, so it's really important there. Captain Cook, the first Westerner to visit Australia, was actually born here, and there's a brilliant museum, the Whitby Museum, which is sort of dedicated to him and the fossils, and there's some pretty interesting stuff there as well. But perhaps most significantly, Whitby is known as the best place in the whole of the United Kingdom to get fish and chips. So yes, we will be, probably not tonight, but we will certainly be getting some Whitby fish and chips, complete with scraps, and you'll find out what scraps are probably tomorrow, because it really is spectacular, some of the stuff that you can get from here in Whitby. So we're just on the outskirts of the town now, and so here we go. All right, well, we've just arrived at the Abbey Headland car park, which is one of the best places to park really if we're heading down to the beach, which is that way. Now, I haven't got long because I want to get to the camp in order to be set up before dark. It's dark, completely dark by 7, starts getting properly dark about 6:30. It's now, take me maybe an hour, so that's 5. So really, I've got the maximum of an hour here. So I don't know how much longer I'll be able to stay, but we need to go get a ticket for the car, and then let's just crack on and get down into town, basically. Okay, so progress update. Just had a call from the campsite, telling me that their office shuts at 5 o'clock, which is in about half an hour. However, they are able to still check me in up until 8 o'clock. Now, obviously, I want to be there before 8 o'clock because I want to be able to set up in the daylight, but it should give me enough time to do a very brief little nose, if not around the whole beach, certainly around some of the old town, and grab some food. I'm more keen, however, on getting down to the beach if I can, as it is kind of low tide about now. So anyway, we'll head down and we'll see what we can find. Who knows? Hardly seems worth spending much time down here because the sun is setting a lot quicker. We came down the 199 steps to get here, but you can just about see there's Whitby, and really the best stuff is over the other side. Well, we've done it. We've arrived at the campsite. Now I just got to get everything set up, and I hope you enjoy seeing some of the ingenuity that we've had to do. Let's go. Came across this little dilemma. I've got this little camping fish here, right, which I borrowed from my brother to use, and I thought, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll get some sausages and bacon for tonight and then have them tomorrow as well, right? Well, the milk, that just about fits. No, it doesn't, even that doesn't fit. Does it fit at all? No. Okay, so I'm going to need to rearrange some stuff. Take out the little tray. Let me see. I've taken out the little tray there. That should fit the milk now. Yeah, okay, good. Now what I'm going to have to do is, I've got some of my specimen bags here. I'm going to have to try and fit the bacon and the sausages into the specimen bags. So, fun. Right, we've got our bacon. We've got our sausages. And they now do fit. And that's working and cooling it down. So, improvisation, hey? Time for dinner. It's getting on for 7:30 now, and I'm pretty hungry, so it's time for dinner. I've made basically like a tomato and rice mixed with sausages, and then a knocked together salad, washed out with some cranberry and raspberry juice. So fun. And then it will be time to just finish clearing up and packing up and washing up and heading in to do a bit of study. Been a long day, but a good day. I just wish I'd been able to get down to the beach a bit more, but there's always tomorrow.